sorry to interrupt you. Now we can start. And one request, ma'am, if you could conclude your presentation on time. We are running behind schedule.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Professor Sunita Nambiyar, Faculty of Social Work, the Maharaja Sayajirao University, Baroda.
So my paper is titled as Service Leadership, Key to Good Governance, because this conference today talks about human security and global governance. It is very essential that the type of leadership that takes up this issue of governance, be it the public arena or the corporate sector or the public areas, is very important. So I would like to talk about this area of leadership, which is more in a term technically called the service leadership, because it focuses on growth and well-being of individuals and communities. So when we are talking about good governance, we are talking about the communities that we are addressing and nation as a whole. So a servant leader is one who shares power, priorities and needs of others and helps people develop their full potential. So in one way it is also empowering people whom you are serving, and this type of leadership is very vital in the public administration and for fostering good governance. I would like to talk about this area more particularly because I represent the city of Vadodara, which also has a historical perspective. The leadership given by Maharaja Sayajirao III of Baroda, and who becomes an exemplary example of how his leadership had made a difference to Baroda state. This is available in a book titled Finer Hence, which was guided and written by T. Madhavrao, which emphasizes the values, ethics that are needed in public welfare for larger welfare of people and for good governance. This thing is also known for his leadership, more particularly because I also represent not only the city but also the university, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, and his type of leadership is remembered in all the kinds of facilities that are offered long before a century ago, which I'll be talking about in this remaining presentation. And that is where he is one of the things who is remembered for his empathetic leadership, which focuses on citizen well-being. So when you're talking of good governance, it is citizen well-being that is more taken into account. A key trait of a servant leader is basically qualities like listening to people, being empathetic, healing where it is needed. We have seen that there are a lot of disasters that occur. Now communities and people also need to be healed. There has to be a strong sense of self-awareness, stewardship, commitment to community growth. And these traits differ from conventional leadership, which was earlier talked about in the earlier session, which talked about autocratic or authoritarian, which often focuses on power and control. And that is how a servant leader can make a lot of difference to good governance, because it promotes decision making based on empathy and collective well-being. There is many things servant leadership as a concept that can contribute to public administration, because when you are serving or doing things for public good, empathy, that is understanding people from their point of view or understanding their issues, are so essential, and also listening to them. Now listening to probably what has been presented or what has not been told, but also very good observation skills are needed and which are central to making decisions. Self-awareness as a leader also helps navigate ethical dilemmas and power dynamics, which is again persistent in in issues of governance. The insights that we get from this book are very much visible when you see it in the city of Baroda. And I'm not talking about the current facilities that are needed, because now we have the concept of governance, we also have the concept of smart cities. But if we talk about the facilities that were given in the year 1894, starting with education. So the state of Baroda was one of the first states to provide for facilities of education, public health and sanitation, and which was very, very vital for improving the quality of life of people. The first underground drainage system was laid out in the year 1894, and which ensured clean drinking water through the reservoir which was built in Ajwa. It was also found that citizens need peace, security, and the good governance included that there should be areas of recreation, where in a public facility of a Kamati Bagh, that is 224-acre land of public garden, was laid down with public infrastructure for the community. The other facilities that were brought were, the drainage system that was, told about, it was laid out in the city, and it also told the flow of where the drainage would flow in, which would help people understand.
If you could kindly conclude, because we are running behind schedule. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Which included the establishment of Sayajirao General Hospital to provide for the health care to citizens and adjoining states, and that
I'm extremely sorry to announce that there has been a little bit of a mix-up. This session is for the offline speakers, not for the online speakers. So I would like to invite the offline speakers who are present in the auditorium. I would like to invite Harshil Kaur, a student of IGNOU, to make her presentation. And there will be a parallel session for the online speakers in a different room.
Hello. Good evening to all ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests. I'm honored to stand before you today and discuss on the harrowing reality, the vulnerability of women and children in the conflict zones. My research paper titled Securing Vulnerability, Women and Children in Conflict Zones has been meticulously crafted to reflect and address the real-world challenges. Across the world, these fragile areas see a tragic rise in gender-based violence, exploitation, and the deprivation of fundamental human rights. It is no secret that women and girls are disproportionately affected, subjected to torture, sexual violence, forced marriages, and killings, but men and boys too are not exempt from such atrocities. During such turbulent times, essential services collapse, leaving women and children to bear the brunt of the fallout. In 2022, more than 600 million women and girls lived in conflict-affected nations, a staggering 50% rise from 2017. As military spending surged to unprecedented levels, women's rights took a significant hit. In Afghanistan, the Taliban decrees have severely curtailed the freedoms of women, while in Sudan, the sexual violence has resurfaced in conflict zones. Similar trends of violence and displacement against women are seen in conflicts between Russia-Ukraine war and Israel and Palestine. In these regions, women are forced into new caregiving and provider roles, suffering both physically and psychologically. Shockingly, political violence against women have increased 50% from 2020 to 2022. However, amidst these challenges, women continue to display remarkable resilience, advocating for peace, contributing to humanitarian efforts, and supporting their communities despite facing this unimaginable hardship. Violence against women and girls is not only a violation of human rights, but also a critical barrier to the economic progress. In nations like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, and Sudan, women are abducted by armed groups for sexual exploitation, while countries like Yemen, Somalia report sexual slavery. Women are often excluded from policy discussions regarding healthcare, hindering effective interventions. Their voices need to be at the forefront for the decision-making about their own health and safety. Ending violence against women must be a top priority, and we must work together for the direct, adequate funding towards peace-building efforts. In year 2000, United Nations Security Council adopted Resolution 1325, a landmark resolution acknowledging the unique and disproportionate impact of the armed conflict on women and girls. Since then, the Women, Peace, Security agenda has evolved into a comprehensive framework.
Harshi, you have 1 more minute to conclude.
This framework promotes the active participation of women in peace building. Children are among the most innocent victims of war. In 2021, an estimated 449 million children lived in conflict zones. Children face the dangers of malnutrition, disease, and psychological trauma compounded by damaged infrastructure and restricted access to education. As we speak, 19 million children are out of school in Sudan due to the ongoing conflict. UNICEF has issued an urgent call to action to protect children in conflict zones. They urge all parties involved in conflicts to honor their obligations under the international law and ensure children's safety. In conclusion, while we have made significant strides in protecting women and children in conflict zones, much remains to be done. We must continuously refine our legal frameworks, resource allocation, and accountability mechanisms to address the evolving nature of the conflicts. Women must be empowered, their voices must be heard, and children's well-being must be prioritized. Thank you and have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you, Harshi. Now I would like to invite Dr. Veeragoni Shirisha, Assistant Professor. She's a resource person in our session. She is from the Center for the Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy, JNU. Ma'am, I would like to invite you onto the stage. She would be speaking on a very interesting topic, Reimagining International Security, the increasing influence of women. Women Security and Governance, Challenges for Inclusive Development.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee members, Dr. Nandini Basista, and chair and co-chair, because I don't know sir's name, I forgot. And Sumana, I know. And my topic is women's security and governance, challenges and inclusive development. From morning we have been hearing about women's security, human security, and what is security. But I'll take hardly 5 minutes because, people are running out of time. What is women's security? Women's security is a multi-dimensional concept where we talk about how women needs to have an equal opportunity, equal to men. But at the same time, we do talk about the accessibility of resources also. Here much has been talked in this session, much has been talked about what is women's security and how international resolutions have been passed with regard and with respect to women's security, right? And I would like to here mention about 4 points that are essential for women's security and governance. Why we need, without good governance, there is no women's security. Even during this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we have celebrated our 75 years of independence. But even then we talk about why we need to talk about women's security. Why? Because recently there was an incident in Calcutta also. Not only in Calcutta, it has been highlighted, but everywhere. Why we need? Because there are 4 aspects that needs to be addressed here. One is legal framework and gender-friendly based policies should be there, and economic women empowerment programs should be there. And not only that, awareness programs should be there. How far are we successful in this 75 years of independence? Are we successful? According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said, the society, the progress of society is measured by the progress of women. Did we achieve that? These are the challenges that we are facing. But what is the solution for it? What is the solution for this to overcome the problem of women's security? Because again, it will continue. This year, it is women's security. Next year, some other concept will be there. There are 4 aspects as far as my paper considered that should be given importance. One is about framing of legal works, and other one is about international cooperation also is needed. For example, India has ratified the Convention on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women in 1972. It is a signatory also. And moreover, government has emphasized on these policies. Recently, the present government has talked about the policies to empower women. Government has taken 4 policies. In that, I would like to concentrate on Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, save daughter and educate daughter. Because Mahatma Gandhi has said that a woman empowered or educated means that whole family is empowered and educated. For example, if man is educated, he is only educated. I hope. And we need, at this instance, we need international cooperation also. There are 4 aspects that should be covered. Strengthening the legal systems, promoting economic empowerment of women, fostering political participation of women. We have how many members in parliament? In that, how many women are there? How many women have acquired highest position? Other than 3-4 women? Other than elite sections? What about the other women? That also, we should empower women through political participation. Though the 73rd Amendment of Indian Constitution, Panchayat Raj, and 74th has talked about amendment of reservation in local governance. How far it has been successful? It is not that I am criticizing. These are the things where we need to concentrate. And we need to address cultural barriers also. 25 years back, when I came to Delhi, it was quite difficult for me traveling as a girl in a sleeper car compartment, because I come from a place which is 2,000 kilometers away from Delhi. It was quite difficult for me. And cultural affinity was quite different. Being a South Indian, it was quite different. So we have to, in order to overcome all these barriers, women should overcome all the cultural barriers. Without proper encouragement, it will be very difficult for women. This concept of women's security is a process of sustainable development one. Here we need to address the challenges related to economic disparities, cultural norms, even inadequate legal protection cells. I recommend here the 4 things: strengthen legal frameworks, promote gender-sensitive policies. Here I want to tell. At workplace, there is not only, so much has been talked about gender violence since morning, but we know even females are facing harassment at workplace. In some institutions, we have gender, ICC internal committee for complaints and GS cash, right? Not only that, we have Vishaka guidelines also. And we need to have social and cultural change. Enhance international cooperation. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Your presentation was indeed very thought-provoking. Now, Shiba Sheikh. You are? Okay. So, you can start with your presentation. Yes, kindly introduce yourself and then start with your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone, to all the esteemed dignitaries and my colleagues and my friends. My name is Ashwini Kirti. I am a research scholar from Department of Social Work, University of Delhi. The topic for my presentation is Gender and Sustainable Development Goals. Where do we stand? As in the beginning, the search said about the NCRB data that the crime against women has been is increasing. I would like to talk about the first SDGs. What is the SDGs? SDG means Sustainable Development Goals, and it is based on the principle of 5 Ps. The 5 Ps stands for people, peace, prosperity, planet, and partnership. In this, the partnership plays a very vital role. The SDG 17, the goal 17 talk about the partnership. In the Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 goals and 169 targets. And in that, the Sustainable Development Goal 5 talked about the gender equality. I would like to put my paper basically is on secondary data in the sources, where I have tried to put on the current situation, where these SDGs are heading in context to the gender and the gender equality related issues and all. As I can say, by the latest data, it's showing by the Equal Measure 2020. It's a UN-based data. It shows that 74% of all the SDGs are interconnected with the gender equality issues, and 47% are directly interrelated. All from SDG 1 to SDG 17, all these are interconnected and have a direct relation with the gender equality issues and on all. The latest data of the Global Gender Gap Report 2024, it states that it will take 134 years to reach full gender parity. We are targeting 2030 for the targets and the indicators to outcome for the reach in the context of gender equality. But the latest report, which has been released by the Global Gender Gap Report 2024, it says that it will take 134 years to fulfill the gender parity and gap. In the context of India, the Niti Aayog is doing all the work. The government has started monitoring, assessing regarding the SDGs and all. The Niti Aayog released the SDG India Index in the 2018, and the current Niti Aayog Index report, in the context of gender equality, the goal 5, the ranking, the overall number is 49. In 2018, it was 36, but in the 23-24 reports, it's 49. And as per the average, according to score to the Niti Aayog, it has been divided into 4 parts, 0 to 49 aspirant, 50 to 64 performer, 65 to 99 front runner, and 100 it is achiever. In the context of the gender equality or the goal 5, the overall score of the country is just 49. It's below 50. We are in the experiment range in the Niti Aayog. Yeah. For me, the foremost thing that the government should focus on is the segregation of the data. We don't have to overcome this gender equality as an issue. We should have more data from the different ministries and all, and we have a data segregation where we can have so that the policy can be made through this data and on all, because we all know that women group is not a homogeneous group. They are different sectors of women and all. So the emphasis must be on all that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite Monica Jha from Great Lakes Institute of Management to present her paper. You have just 5 minutes.
Yes. Okay, sir. Good afternoon, all the guests and audience present here. I am Monica Jha, Academic Associate at Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon. I am here to present my paper on a scheme named Mukhyamantri Balika Snatak Protsahan Yojana. So, as we all know, that education plays a pivotal role in shaping the future of our society. However, historically, there has been a significant gender gap in education. This gender gap refers to difference in education attainment between male and females. So to address this issue, the Bihar government has taken a commendable step by launching the Kanya Uthan Yojana. Under this umbrella scheme, there are several sub-schemes and Mukhyamantri Balika Snatak Protsahan Yojana is one of them. The primary objective of this sub-scheme to reduce the gender gap in higher education, to provide financial assistance to all those unprivileged but merititious girls, and also to encourage women empowerment and to reduce family and societal barriers for the girls. So, under Mukhyamantri Balika Snatak Protsahan Yojana, every girls who have completed their graduation from any university of Bihar is eligible to get this amount of scholarship. So, this scheme gained popularity due to its inclusiveness, with no specific filters or criteria for receiving the scholarship. However, the objective of the education through this financial incentive has been somewhat short-sighted. The scholarship funds are not being effectively utilized for the further education, then the government's objective is remain unfulfilled. Next. So, this question drove my research. I wanted to explore how the girls of Bihar are utilizing the scholarship funds, whether they are utilizing the funds for their education or not. They are enrolling themselves in the course just to get the degree, or just to get the degree, or to gain the knowledge. So there are three key objectives of my research. The first one is to access the impact of the scheme of girls on the girls' enrollment ratio in higher education. Second one is to investigate the utilization pattern of the scholarship fund. And third one is to explore the relationship between the scheme and the education continuation of girls in higher education. For this study, I reviewed relevant literature. Please, next. I'm
sorry to interject, just focus on your research findings.
Okay, sure, sir. So now, as sir told me, so I'm moving towards my findings. So I'll start with the most critical aspect of this research. Research is the socio-economic dynamics, around our society. While Mukhyamantri Balika Snatak Protsahan Yojana, has boosted the enrollment of girls in higher education successfully, there are several factors like, marriage, particularly in rural areas, was identifies as a significant factor where family responsibilities and societal expectations in rural areas was identified as a main factor, and all the family members used to force the girl child to discontinue their education. Even so, after getting the scholarship, most of the girls discontinued their education. They were not attending their classes even after government was providing it, just to promote education among girls, just to empower women, just to encourage the women empowerment. Still, they were not utilizing the funds for their education purpose. They were using the funds for their personal uses, just to get some jewelry or smartphones. And family, they were also used to pressurize their girl child. They were used to emotionally do some emotional manipulation to them, just to discontinue their study and go for the marriage. So I want to give some policy recommendation for this. So the scholarship should not be provided solely on the basis of enrollment, but should also take into the account on the attendance or some academic performance. The second one is to minimum academic criteria, such as scoring 60% marks or more in graduation, should also be considered. The third one is the disbursement process needs to be more timely. And fourth one is to improve the educational continuation of the girls. So I would also like to suggest government to do some workshop.
Sorry to interject, your time is up.
Okay sir. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite onto the stage Anish Mishra Praveer Kumar Prajapati. They will be speaking on gender differences in financial literacy and its impact on financial well-being. Before you begin, just focus on your research objectives, your findings, and conclude.
Good afternoon, everyone. The topic of our research is gender differences in financial literacy and its impact on financial well-being. So financial literacy is a combination of awareness, knowledge, skill and attitude and behavior which is necessary for an individual to make a fine financial decision and ultimately achieve individual financial well-being. And financial well-being is a condition when individuals feel comfortable and free from any worries related to money and can maintain their living standard, can pay their bills on time, feeling confident about their financial future, meet their obligations and enjoy their life without any financial distress. Financial literacy is crucial for economic development.
This is not necessary. Focus on your objectives.
Yes, sir. Individual financial well-being. The study investigates gender disparities in financial literacy and its impact on financial well-being. It has been conducted in Central India, Anuppur district in Madhya Pradesh and Gorela, Pendra and Marwahi district in Chhattisgarh. The focus is on tribal and remote areas which have limited access to banking services, and it aims to fill research gap in understudied regions of Central India. So the next portion will be taken by Mr. Pradeep.
Talk about the objectives. So objective was to determine the financial literacy scores among different genders in the study population, and then the second objective was to identify any significant differences in financial literacy across the genders, and third objective was to assess the impact of financial literacy on financial well-being. When we talk about the research methodology.
Findings. I want to do the findings.
Okay, sir. Okay, so now talk about the findings of our studies. So out of 25, so male has scored like 17.3 score, like 69% in overall financial literacy score. And when talk about the females, they have scored like 60%. And average financial literacy score was like 67%. And there is a significant gender differences found in our study, financial knowledge and financial attitude. And there is no significant difference found in financial behavior scores. Now talk about the financial literacy and financial well-being. So there is a positive and significant correlation between financial well-being and financial behavior, and financial well-being and financial aptitude. But there is no significant correlation between financial well-being and financial knowledge. And we have utilized regression analysis. The regression result was 25.7% variation. When we due to the changes in financial literacy, the financial well-being changes just because of financial literacy, and the significant level of 5%.
Can you conclude?
Conclusions. Gender disparities exist in financial literacy, with men scoring higher than women. There are differences significant in overall financial literacy, financial knowledge, financial attitude, but not in financial behavior. Financial literacy enhances the financial well-being of the individual. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Next speaker would be Gayatri Pramod. Is she here? Okay, she's not here. Then Tahira Anjum. She will be speaking on the role of women in democracy in India, a case study of Bihar. Madam, I would like you to focus on your research objectives, your findings, and conclude.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. The title of my topic is Role of Women and Democracy in India, a case study of Bihar. The paper find out the intricate relationship between women and democracy in the Indian state of Bihar. We are exploring how gender dynamics shaped by the democratic process in this region, and also define the challenges faced by women. India's democratic framework offers equal political rights to all citizens, yet women participation in politics remain a significant challenge, especially in a state like Bihar. In the case of Bihar, historically marked by patriarchal norms, and its female literacy rate is one of the lowest in the country. The constitution guarantees equal rights, including in the field of political participation. However, in the case of Bihar, have historically hindered women access to leadership role. The introduction of the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment reserving seats for women in Panchayat Raj institution marked a turning point, particularly in Bihar. However, the reservation of 50% of Panchayat seats for women has transformed to local governance. This has not only improved local governance but also challenged traditional gender norms. Despite progress, women in Bihar face several key challenges. For example, patriarchal attitude, limited education, economic barrier, violence and intimidation. Although several government programs have been critically empowering women politically and economically. For example, Mukhyamantri Nari Shakti Yojana, self-help group, Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao have helped shift social attitude toward gender equality, fostering an environment more conducive to women's political participation. No doubt, even the past few decades, women in Bihar have moved from the periphery to a more central role in the state democratic framework. This development have not only altered the political landscape of Bihar, but have also challenged traditional power structure and redefined the role of women in society. Though we can't deny the status of women have improved from the earlier times, but there is a need to fundamental changes are required in the field, in the attitude of the employers, policy makers, family members and public at large. There are certain customs in our society, Raksha Bandhan, Kanyadan, that is also called a trap the women in the society, in the family chain. Now I would like to conclude here. While women in Bihar have made significant steps in political participation, but the elements of exclusion and discrimination are prominent features of Bihar. Even Bihar became the first state under Chief Minister Nitish Kumar in 2006 when women were given 50% reservation in local bodies and panchayat. After all, we can say that Bihar is one of the India's least developed states with low level of literacy, limited female agency and a strong societal norms. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Next speaker on the list is Shiba Sheikh, from PhD scholar of Jamia Millia Islamia. Next speaker would be Kalpana Singh, Senior Research Fellow. Kalpana Singh would be speaking on a very interesting issue, unlocking the potential of maternal employment, how it affects family dynamics and empowers women. Same request to you,
yes,
ma'am.
Definitely, sir. Good afternoon, everybody, and all the respected persons on the dais and all the fellow people here. The objective of the study was the financial independence of women is extremely important in life of every woman, whatever be the stage, age, and all this thing. During my research, I have found that motherhood is the most challengeable period in the life of a woman, and the earlier 5 to 7 year upbringing of a child is extremely important. And when both the children is born in a dual earner family, they hardly get time to take care of those small children. And when a woman is in employment, the social fabric, the kinship system, and neighbors, friends, this kind of relationship demands time. And with this opportunity and the busyness and this contemporary era, the time is not invested in that amount, and it is not possible also. So that child is either brought up by the woman and his husband or maid or some other services. And since we are moving from joint family to nuclear family, it is very hard to manage a small child. And it is also found that after the birth of first child and facing all the challenges and the problems by a working woman, the choice for second child is really hard to take for any woman in the workforce. Now, the motherhood and experience of children in dual earner family is an important key point, and this research paper is based on primary data collected from 200 assistant teachers working in primary and upper primary municipal schools in Kanpur district, Uttar Pradesh, India. And primary data was collected from interview schedule, and 50 to 60 minutes was given to each and every respondent and follow-up phone calls to collect this data. And the findings I would like to conclude the findings in 4 statements. First was the education and career aspirations. Now 55.8% of the respondents were already educated, and 44.1% of the respondents gained some certain above education after marriage. There was no significant difference between the two. And when they were asked what is the reason, then their answer was their motivation was to gain the employment, and once it is achieved, there was no further motivation remain to go for higher education. Now second was the number of children and family support. The majority of the respondent having 2 children, followed by 1 child and 6 respondents. Now see, motherhood should be a choice. Whether 2 children, 1 children, it should be a choice. But when we see the extra supporting system like child care facilities and other kinship system is not there, then it becomes a constraint, and motherhood is not celebrated that time. And that kind of frustration, the stress a woman goes when she is a mother and she has to go for employment also, that somehow affects the child, the upbringing of the small child, the early 5 to 7 years of that small child. So this should be noted by the policy makers also, that when a mother is coming to work, she want to work, she want to be the part of the workforce, then those policies should be made accordingly. Some flexibility that we have seen in the pandemic period also, the work from home, the flexible hours, and certain other kind of things should be taken into consideration because they want to work. But motherhood that was celebrated in earlier years is seen as a constraint, as a barrier in the career of a woman. And this should not happen, because a child comes from the womb of a woman and he or she is solely dependent for the early 5 to 7 years. Though a child is completely dependent for the entire life, but the first 5 and 7 years of a child, for a good generation, for good future generation, it is very important to take care of those first 5 to 7 years of those children, and this should be the responsibility of workplace, of government, of the policy makers to take this particular thing into consideration. Now, the third point was, yes sir, it is the last point. See, we see that employment has always the positive impacts. But yes, I have found some of the respondents said that they do have, while there is a negative impact of employment, they were in their late 50s and they were about to retire. So what was the negative impacts? Diminished kinship networks, limited time for investing in relationship, a feeling of sense of social isolation and regret in not participating in important events of those dear ones. So somehow it has the earlier parties and functions, the long extended 10 days, 15 days parties is no longer, today we go to the same day to the marriage and return after 2 hours. So this is kind of a formal attainment of certain kind of function. Now I'm concluding this paper with one recommendation, that is establishing a school with advanced creche facilities in each block, where working mothers on rotational basis, we know that all the mothers or all the women not give birth to a child at a single time. So this can be done on rotational basis. They can be given a posting on that particular school where the creche facilities is available, and women can enjoy employment and motherhood at the same time. And on the same time, children can also enjoy the similar things. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Hemang to Research Scholar of Center for International Politics and Area Studies, to make a presentation. But very brief presentation within 5 minutes.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Himanshi Kadyan, researcher at Center for International Politics and Area Studies, SSG Research Foundation. It's an honor to present my research paper on the topic From Policy to Practice, Women's Security Through the Governance Perspective. In this presentation, I will explore about how effectiveness of policies ensure women's safety and security through analysis of case studies, legal frameworks, and governance structures. Let's move towards the introduction. Will you please show the slide, introduction?
Himanshi, focus on your research questions.
Okay, sir.
Findings and conclusion.
Okay, sir. It highlights the importance of addressing the root causes of gender discrimination and working towards the creation of a society. Well, it values, respects, and individuals, regardless of gender identity. On this, Gandhiji stated that to call a woman weaker sex is a libel. It's a man injustice to women. If strength is defined as a moral force, then women is infinitely superior to men. If I talk about recent decades, then feminism has been attracting attention in areas of social science. The starting point include the gender in IR. Now I would like to talk about some historical context. As we all know that women's subjugation at different levels, like it is permanent in ancient, medieval, modern. But if I talk about modern period, then yes, women have showed or proved themselves that they are not less than men. On this, Gandhiji said, there is no occasion for women to consider themselves subordinate or inferior to men. Now next is some case studies from different nations. Well, I would like to take case studies from peripheral, semi-peripheral and core nations. But this concept of world system theory was given by Immanuel Wallerstein, but here I am using to represent the conditions of women in different nations. From peripheral, rape of disabled girl in Uganda, she was just 13-year-old and still she awaits for justice. Next is child marriage Yemen, and she is just 11-year-old and still there is no legal framework to ban child marriage. Next is Minova rape case, where in 2012 hundreds of women were raped by soldiers from the Congolese army. Next is semi-peripheral countries where Sati Pratha practiced in India from the very ancient period, and it was firstly started by Rajputs, and then all over it became widespread in northern and central India. And later on it was abolished by Raja Ram Mohan Roy and William Bentinck, Governor General of India. Next is acid attacks in Pakistan. 1500 acid attacks were reported, but actual number still not recorded, just because of girls or women. They were just fear of revenge and many more things. Some famous cases like Malala Yousafzai, and she was shot by a Taliban gunman, and at present she is a political activist. And in 2007, Sumro, she was just 13-year-old, she was attacked by 4 guys. So these things shows that women are still subjugated and still afraid from these things. Yes sir, just 1 minute. At last, I would like to say that still the only 25% of legislative seats are worldwide, and just 22 countries have female head of state administration. So we need to enhance leadership skills and if I talk about global implementation, only goal 5 SDGs talk about focus on empowering women and girls. So at last, I would like to say that need of a strong legislative frameworks, effective governance, process in protecting women's security, which include not only the formulation of policies, but the thing should be in a practice form, and establishment of processes to monitor and assess their implementation, which ensure accountability at all levels. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Manshi. Now I would like to call on to the stage Orno Mukherjee, PhD scholar, University of Kalyani. He will be speaking on an interesting issue, innocence under siege, exploring child security in Gaza.
The universal symbol for innocence, love, and compassion is a child. Yet, no child is able to live their childhood to the fullest to develop into a proper human being in Gaza at this juncture. Good evening to one and all present in here as I present to you the topic Innocence Under Siege, the condition of children and their security at siege at Gaza. The present-day conflict started on the 7th of October when the militant Hamas group attacked Israel, in retaliation of which the nation-state went on to initiate a series of aerial bombings and then land assaults upon the Strip of Gaza. No child ought to grow up in fear, hunger, and terror, yet no child in Gaza today is free from these maladies. Infrastructure is currently absolutely ravaged. Educational institutions are either been bombarded and destroyed or are currently substituting as refugee complexes. Hospitals are either out of commission or unable to perform the necessary duties due to once again seconding for the very same purpose. Power outages are rampant. Waterborne diseases are widespread. Lack of food, lack of nutrition, lack of proper health care, guardian figures now dead, amongst many other things, has led to numerous psychological, physical, and ethical maladies that is now currently plaguing the region, including post-traumatic stress disorders for children, PTSD, clinical depression, anxiety issues, malnutrition, as already stated before, and a nation that was once upon a time 25 years free from polio is now suffering from this malady once again. So, effectively, who started it, you may ask? In effect, no institution ever, whether it's the militant Hamas or the nationalistic Israelis, will ever claim that, of course, we initiated the destruction of the lives of so many innocent children. After all, like I said, universal modicum, the universal dictum of compassion. Yet, at the end of the day, there is an incessant degrees of whataboutery going on, whereupon, when all eyes were on Rafah on the day that at the Tel Aviv camp of Al-Sultanate, we noticed that the headless child being held up by their parents, the counter-rhetoric from the PR organization was, where were your eyes on the 7th of October? Rest assured, our eyes were upon the maladies of the children, who are, once again, the future. Yet, in Gaza, that future is now a graveyard of utmost silence. Today we have to take a step, make a stand to ensure that the ravaged establishment that can no longer provide for the needs of their youngsters, their innocence, can once again flourish back to make sure that the graveyard can once again see the light, perhaps for one instance, maybe. So, at the end of the day, the conclusion might be that perhaps a provision for safe and reliable forms of humanitarian access to the maneuvering and the operations of the security services in the vulnerable section of Gaza is essential. Number 2, guaranteeing the immediate and secure living conditions for all Gazan children, as well as the end of all violent atrocities, as well as the provision of social and physical sanctity to these children. Number 3, the basic facilities of water, electricity, and food and sanitation should be provided without the incessant threat of perpetual rampant violence. And 4th, and most importantly, the economic blockade of the Gaza Strip should be lifted to facilitate the greater mobility of personnel and resources. War is the ultimate manifestation of dehumanization because it reduces the value of human beings to mere strategic targets and statistics. Now, there was an initiative to make sure that each and every single one of the names of the Gazan victims will be read out loud upon the newspapers and social media. However, at the end of the day, you can keep on reading out loud 7,000 children in the instance. However, it won't matter much. What is essential is that we retaliate and make a comeback. I merely had 5 minutes to make my point around in here, but if it's not understood, 5 generations, I assure you, will not be enough to make the point. Thank you.
So much. Pankuni Shivam, student of TIS. Saida Alia Mazhar, yes, she's there. She's a student from Delhi University. She will be speaking on an interesting issue, feminist perspective on security. Same request again, kindly finish it within 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be speaking on feminist perspective on security. According to the latest UN report, women make up about 70% of those displaced by conflict. Yet their voices are often marginalized in discussions about security. With the end of Cold War, feminist perspective has emerged as a challenge to the mainstream ontology and epistemology of security. It has questioned the sovereignty of the state in framing questions related to security and enlarged the scope of study to include human security, environmental security, as well as questions related to the rights of migrants and refugees. In this paper, an attempt has been made to evaluate the contribution as well as distinctive characteristics of feminist perspective on security. In general, feminists define security in multidimensional terms, prioritizing individuals and communities and addressing all forms of violences encompassing economic, structural, and ecological violence. Gender is regarded as a central analytical tool to comprehend the differential impacts of insecurity and wars. As Ann Tickner has noted, feminist perspectives rely on individuals or communities and uncover hidden biases. Rather than conceptualizing security as an ideal, it must be seen as a process in which women are required to strive for their own security. Feminist perspectives differ from mainstream perspective in terms of ontology as well as epistemology. Their ontologies presume social embeddedness of individuals and groups in contrast to state-centric analysis of conventional theories. Their epistemological premise is sensitive to differences and includes women's experiences in their analysis. They are particularly critical of theories and knowledge-building processes which exclude women in their analysis. Methodological approach of feminists is also quite different from traditional theories. They employ diverse methodologies including narrative analysis, dialogues, deconstructing text, and standpoint perspective, among others. They strongly suggest adopting a multidimensional and multi-level approach to security, which includes threats from hunger, starvation, lack of education, poor quality of environment, and economic injustice. The UNSC had unanimously adopted UN Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security in 2000. It was the first resolution which acknowledged that war impacts women differently. It also stressed on increasing women's participation in conflict resolution as well as recognizing and eliminating sexual violence in conflict. However, it does not fully address feminist concerns. Merely increasing the number of women in military and leadership positions may not serve any purpose. Rather, a critical mass needs to be incorporated to improve decision-making, responsiveness, and have significant impact on ground realities. A major problem associated with the WPS agenda approach is that it overlooks the long-standing feminist opposition to war altogether. Okay. In order to embrace a comprehensive understanding of feminist perspectives on security, it is imperative to integrate the strategy of gender mainstreaming. The idea of gender mainstreaming prescribes not just women-specific policies, but adoption of gendered lens while assessing all policies. Thus, it leads to an equitable and efficient allocation of resources. It has been helpful in dealing with multiple facets of insecurities and violence. For example, in 1996, Inter-American Development Bank (IDB) provided $123 million loans to combat violence in Latin America and the Caribbean. It incorporated reducing domestic violence against women as a significant element of citizen security. Various methods were adopted, such as data collections. Okay, thus, gender mainstreaming in policies and programs has real outcomes in terms of gender justice and women empowerment. The real success of such endeavors can only be realized when gender-sensitive policies are adopted at the local level with active willingness of all stakeholders. At a more fundamental level, feminist perspective on security requires a shift in attitude and perceptions which give equal importance to women and men. I would conclude with the words of former UN General Secretary Kofi Annan, that security is not a privilege for the few, it is a right for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to call on Muskan from South Asia Institute. Is she there? You are the second last speaker. There would be one more speaker, paper presenter. So kindly present your paper on time.
Good afternoon to everyone present here today. I am Muskan Dhalwal, a second year postgraduate student at South Asian University, which is a SARC institute based in Delhi. I will be presenting my paper titled Remote Work and Women's Security in Post-Pandemic South Asia, Governance Challenges and Responses. I will quickly take you through the abstract of my paper, which deals with the objectives of my paper. The shift to remote work during the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted women's security around the globe. While remote work provided flexibility, it also heightened the risk of domestic violence, as continuous proximity to abusers during lockdowns fostered conditions conducive to violence. This paper aims to explore the effects of remote work transition on women's security with a brief case study of South Asian region. It will analyze the challenges women faced, including increased domestic violence, work-life balance issues, and mental health concerns. The research will also evaluate governance responses to these challenges. Coming to the main findings of the paper, the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted women's security in South Asia, particularly in the shift to remote work. While remote work provided flexibility, it also exacerbated risks such as domestic violence due to continuous proximity to abusers during lockdowns. In South Asia, where patriarchal norms persist, women faced unique challenges, including balancing work-life responsibilities and addressing mental health concerns. My research explores the gendered impacts of the pandemic with a focus on how these challenges have been intensified by governance deficiencies. One of the major challenges that women encountered during the transition to remote work was heightened gender inequality. Women in South Asia, already burdened with unpaid care work, struggle to manage both household and professional responsibilities. An example from an IT specialist in Bangalore, which I talked to over email, highlights how remote work reinforced traditional gender roles, placing additional pressure on women while remaining productive in their jobs. This case illustrates the broader issue of gender imbalance in remote work environments across the region. Furthermore, limited career advancement has been a significant barrier for women during the pandemic. The shift to remote work restricted women's visibility, networking, and mentoring opportunities, which are the key components for career progression. Women from rural or low-income backgrounds were disproportionately affected by digital inequality, further limiting their ability to fully participate in remote work. According to the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, women in India were 11 times more likely to lose jobs or not return to work following the pandemic, underscoring the deep-rooted inequalities. Sure. Another issue that women faced was governance responses to these challenges have been inadequate in South Asia. The region suffers from a lack of supportive policies that address the unique challenges women face in remote work environments. The digital divide, combined with weak policy frameworks, particularly in low-income areas, further disenfranchise women. As a result, there is an urgent call for gender-sensitive labor policies, improved access to digital infrastructure, and protection against online violence to create a more equitable work environment for women. Thank you so much.
Now, I would like to invite our last speaker for today's session, Shah. He would be speaking on securing the digital frontier, the imperatives of cyber governance for human security. He is from University of Kalyani.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. We are living in a digital era where the internet is an integral part of our daily life. Serving various purposes, however, a group of criminals is exploiting the internet for their own interest, stealing people's personal information and money, leading to constant rise in cybercrime. In this presentation, I include data to help everyone understand why cybercrime poses a significant threat to human security in society. According to NCRB data, there was a 24.4% rise in cybercrime cases across various states and union territories in India. In 2022, a total of 65,000 approx cybercrime cases was reported. One of the major contribution to this surge in cybercrime is increase in the UPI transaction. UPI stands for United Payment Interface, such as the GPay or PhonePe we used for transaction digital money or online money. Statistics show that in 2022, UPI transactions amount rupees 74 billion, while in 2023, the number is 131 billion. Cybercrime can be defined as any criminal activity involves the use of computer technology and information system to commit offenses such as theft, fraud, hacking, or unauthorized access to sensitive data. Cybercrime poses a major threat to human security. This paper aims to explore the nature of cybercrime, the challenges police faced in preventing it, and the relationship between cybercrime and the human security. This study is primarily qualitative in nature. Data is obtained through semi-structured, in-depth interview conducted on police officials working in the 4 cybercrime police stations of Nadia and Murshidabad district of West Bengal. There are several types of cybercrime, with social media scam and financial fraud being among the most prevalent today. In combating this cybercrime, the police face numerous challenges such as inadequate infrastructure in cybercrime police station and lack of training among personnel. The nature of cybercrime is continuously evolving, with cybercriminal adopting new method or technology to carry out their activity, making it even more difficult to police to respond effectively. Criminals often hide their internet protocol or IP addresses, and there is a general lack of computer awareness among the masses. To effectively counter cybercrime, regular training for the police personnel is essential. Additionally, various awareness programs should be organized for the general people to enhance understanding and prevention of cybercrime. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would request my co-chair, Dr. Sumana to kindly conclude.
Thank you. Thank you to all the paper presenters. All of you have presented very interesting topic on women, and starting from education to that of legal framework, topics are being included very interestingly. Only thing is that we are time bound, so we could not listen to you very elaborately. Two of the very different topics like child security and cyber crimes are also being discussed in this session. So I'm very happy to hear all the presentation, and I'm enlightened to know and understand the thing in a very different way or different perspective, where women are being, or gender issues are being presented. So since the audience are very less in number, so the session is also for discussion, open for discussion, and if anyone wants to ask any of the questions to any presenter or resource person, so it's open.
I believe there are just 4 or 5 paper presenters and 1 resource person. So if there are any questions, you are free to ask. If not, we would like to conclude this session. Okay, there are no questions. Thank you so much. And it has been a delightful experience for me. Some of the papers were very thought-provoking, very enlightening. And one of the presenters is right now here in front of me. I forgot your name now, but your paper, I really liked it. Okay. Thank you so much. Now,
you want to speak something? Ma'am, you want to say a few words?
I've already spoken.
Okay.
I have to speak. That's okay.
If you want to. So, yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to invite Nandini, ma'am. And yes, it was indeed an enlightening session and a longer one. And it's very difficult to sustain and be so patient with this. So, thank you very much for your patience, and everybody who's sitting in the audience. I invite Dr. Nandini to kindly felicitate our chair, Professor Shiladitya Chakraborty, sir, Department of Political Science, University of Kalyani. Thank you so much, sir. And Dr. Sumana Das, Associate Professor, B. Borooah College, Assam. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Yes. We also have one Best Paper Award, Mr. Saket Bihari, and 2 journals, journal paper. Congratulations, sir, and thank you for your patience as well. Sir has been waiting. Ma'am, ये भी है, journal भी चाहिए. Thank you so much, and congratulations. Okay, so conclude. So with this, we come to the end of day 1 of 4th IIHSG conference. Thank you to all the chairs, co-chairs, delegates,
distinguished guests, and of course, the students who learned a lot indeed. Please join us tomorrow because we will be having a lot of insightful sessions even tomorrow till 3 p.m. So we wish you all the best for today. See you all tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much.